How's it going, and welcome back to Hyrule Highlights, this series where I show you guys a detail, a feature, a secret, or a bug in a Zelda game that I think is cool. Last time I was covering Ocarina of Time and how there are actually some secret fairies you can only get if you do a few weird things, but a video I did in this series that you guys seem to love was 3 secret ways to beat Zelda bosses. And no, I'm not talking about the fishing rod or the bottle thing in Final Battles because everyone knows that. I'm talking 3 secret ways to beat Zelda bosses that hopefully you don't know. And that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to go over 3 more secret ways to beat Zelda bosses hopefully you don't know, including a way to beat one of the most difficult bosses in A Link to the Past with just a bee. If you want to catch up on Hyrule Highlights, there's a playlist link in the top right in the card or in the description below. Let's get into it. Alright, so I'm going to start off with a secret method that actually doesn't defeat a boss outright like the other 2 in this video, but it's a fun way to distract one and get a few cheeky below the belt hits in. This one will involve spoilers for the boss of the Champions Ballad DLC. I mean, it's been a while since the DLC dropped, but skip to this time on screen if you want to miss it. The boss we'll be distracting this time is none other than the Sheikah Sensei himself, Monk Maz Koshia. Monk Maz Koshia is one of my all-time favourite Zelda bosses. He's the final trial set before Link by the ancient Sheikah tribe in the Champions Ballad DLC for Breath of the Wild, a Sheikah master who faces you one-on-one to test your abilities. It's one of the most difficult boss fights in the game. Monk Maz Koshia brings the full might of the Sheikah to bear against you, with a deadly combination of magic and martial arts. Aside from being a really awesome boss fight, Monk Maz Koshia is notable because he displays the weird Yiga clan obsession with bananas. Yeah, you know how you can distract Yiga clan members with a bunch of mighty bananas? Well, for whatever reason the same can be done to the monk. Once per fight you can drop a bunch of bananas, he'll stop focusing on you and run for them, and when he reaches the bunch he'll take a few seconds to chow down on some much needed potassium. I mean, the dude's been in stasis for God knows how long, we can forgive him for being a bit peckish when he wakes up. You can use this to your advantage by either stalling him by dropping bananas and picking up the bunch closest to him, or just wait till he starts eating and lay into him for some free bonus damage. It's a weird secret, but a cool one nonetheless. So while we're talking about Breath of the Wild, let's talk about the Stalnox. The Stalnox is an overworld boss. They can be found in a few locations around the world, and are essentially just the reanimated remains of a Hinox. Just like when they're alive, the weakness of this boss is its large eye, though rather than just shooting at it and slashing when the beast falls down, with a Stalnox you need to shoot the eye until it falls out of its head, then attack it. After a while the Stalnox will use some kind of vacuum magic and pull the eye back to it, meaning you have to knock it out a few times to kill it. Well, it's actually very possible to take out a Stalnox in a single hit, no faffing around repeatedly knocking out and slashing the eyeball. To do this, we need to fight a Stalnox in the early hours of the morning, just before 5 AM. Go up to the monster and use a bomb arrow which takes its eye out in a single hit. And then, if you've timed it right, the eye will be out of the Stalnox's head at 5 AM, meaning it dies instantly. You might have to kick the eye away and re-catch it a couple of times if it's slightly before 5 AM, but if you do it right you'll get a little glitched animation where the game thinks Link is still holding the Stalnox's eye while the Stalnox is playing its death animation. It's a nocturnal boss, meaning you can only fight it at night, so if you're not feeling confident in taking it down but still want some decent loot early on in the game, you can just use Dawn to your advantage and make sure the eye is out of its skull at 5 AM for an instant kill. Okay, now the one you've been waiting for. How to take down one of the most difficult bosses in A Link to the Past using only a bee. So Mothula is at first glance one of the most difficult and imposing boss fights in A Link to the Past. It's the boss of the Skull Woods, and as its name implies, it's a giant moth. Though instead of just slamming itself into light bulbs, this giant moth vomits energy beams at you while flying around a room full of moving blade traps. Eesh. To kill Mothula you can strike at it with a Master Sword up close, but even if you wanted to get close to the gargantuan insect, it's easier said than done. Because of this, most players just use the Fire Rod instead, which is a magic meter intensive method, but it allows you to grind down its HP from a distance. Even with the Fire Rod, this boss isn't easy. By itself it would be an easy fight, but the fact that this moth decides to chill in a room full of death traps makes it a really annoying battle. But there is another way to take down Mothula, one that allows you to kill it without hitting it once yourself. To pull this off, we're going to have to call on Link's most trusted ally, the bee. Yep, move over Epona or Midna, Buck Bumble's the real MVP when it comes to helping the hero of Hyrule. Bees in A Link to the Past at first just seem like minor irritating enemies that buzz around and sting Link if he gets too close. However, it's possible to go full Pokemon Master on them and catch them in a bottle, then release them later on to damage enemies for you. This is a fun way to take on minor enemies, as they only do a tiny amount of damage and will only attack enemies for a small amount of time. However, if you find the fairy fountain in the ice cave, you can sprint into the fountain using the Pegasus boots to make a golden bee appear. This bee functions pretty similarly to the regular ones, except that it leaves behind a golden trail as it flies, and sticks around for way longer than a normal one does. So, with our newfound ally, we can return to Mothula and prepare for the largest insect showdown since Bug's life. The reason we're choosing to fight Mothula with our Bumble Buddy and not another boss from the game is that for whatever reason, Mothula is specifically coded to be vulnerable to the damage from bees in this game, instead of just being impervious to them like every other boss. I mean, Mothula's also an insect, food chain, survival of the fittest, something like that. So now we can take on Mothula without actually hitting it once ourselves. By releasing the golden bee in its boss room, it will fly straight towards the giant insect and start stinging away at its health. The golden bee doesn't actually stick around long enough to fully kill Mothula though, so we have to re-catch the bee using the bug net and then re-release it to renew the amount of time it stays out, over and over until the beast dies. Which, let me tell you, is far easier said than done. If you thought this boss was hard before, taking it on while having to follow the bee around and re-catch it every few seconds, all while avoiding the spike death traps and laser beams, is next level difficult. It took me ages before I managed to take down Mothula this way. It's far more effective to just use the fire rod, but I finally did it. Without hitting the boss a single time myself, I took down Mothula with the help of a single bee. So as I said, it's a pretty useless method to actually taking him out, because it's way easier to just use the fire rod, but it's still cool to say that you've beaten one of the most difficult A Link to the Past bosses with only a bee. I mean, he's the only boss in the game that can actually be damaged by bees, so if you've got a death wish, why not try and take him out with one? Alright, here's a little bonus one for you. I didn't want to include it as one of the 3 main ways because it's a glitch. I mean, the Stalnox one's kinda a glitch, but it's really just making the most out of a game mechanic, that being the monster only being active at night. But no, this one's truly an exploit whichever way you look at it. But what you're about to see is one of the coolest, most mind-blowing things in Breath of the Wild. Major Test of Strength shrines are immensely difficult early on, simply because you don't normally have powerful enough gear. They're boss fight shrines. You go in and have a one-on-one fight with a Guardian Scout. After you kill the Scout, the metal grate at the back will open, and you can go and collect something from a chest and get your Spirit Orb from the monk. Only issue is, at the beginning of the game, you have to hit it 1,000,000 times to kill it, going through countless broken weapons. Oh, and if it hits you once, game over. I bet most of you, when you got this game, encountered a major test shrine and just wished you could, I don't know, do this. Yeah, this is possible with a new Breath of the Wild exploit known as shield clipping. I first saw this glitch when it was posted on Reddit by the user Swiffy22, showing how you can use a glitch to straight up jump through the wall in Test of Strength shrines, skipping the entire fight. I looked into it more and it turns out this is a really recently discovered glitch that's having major applications in speedrunning. It works because, for whatever reason, when Link jumps from a horizontal plane, like the floor, and begins a shield surf, if he then lands on a sloped surface, the game will remember the angle at which he hit the slope. So next time when we shield jump, if we unequip the shield mid-jump, Link will skew for a couple of frames just like how he was when he hit the slope on the first jump. So if you jump from a flat surface, shield surf and land on a slope, you've stored this skew. This skew is stored until you bump into a wall or complete a shield surf, meaning you can cancel by unequipping your shield and get this same skew for a few frames every time you shield jump. If you hit a slope, the skew stored will be in whatever direction the slope was facing. See, if I jump at a different angle, Link lurches to the side in the direction the slope was. This little skew is how we can jump through walls. By going up to a wall that's facing the same direction as the slope was, beginning a shield jump, and then timing the unequip just right to skew Link at the right angle, we can jump straight through a lot of walls and surfaces in the game. And yeah, if you're not feeling up to it but still want to complete a major test shrine, we can just ignore the boss fight entirely, run up to the wall here and shield jump through it, grab the loot and go merrily on our way. This glitch is amazing. As I said, it's already being used in speedrunning. I believe Swiffy22 was credited with its discovery, but I'm not 100% sure. I'll be sure to put a list of names and links in the description if you're interested in learning more about it. So there you go, that's another 3 secret ways to take out Zelda bosses, from bananas to bees. I love bosses in Zelda games. The feeling of accomplishment you get from taking on something so overwhelming is just pretty much what the series is about. And it's even better if you find a few secret, if sometimes cheesy, ways to kill them. As I said earlier, if you want to see more Hyrule highlights, there's an entire playlist in the top right or in the description below. And if you want to keep up to date with what I'm doing, then follow me on Twitter @Zeltic. Let me know in the comments if you knew any of these 3 ways to take out Zelda bosses, or if you've got any other suggestions for Hyrule highlights. If you liked the video, please drop a like and subscribe if you want to see more Zelda content. Cheers guys, and I'll see you next time.